Now, on Enough Said, with K-Fans Dan Barrero.
Even on the base of that video, what took place within that car, what Castillo was reaching for, it doesn't show that conclusively.
And Justin Guard.
For him to escalate it that way for no reason whatsoever, he was not prepared for that situation.
And we also...
Enough Said.
Sir, I have to tell you, I do have a firearm on me.
Don't reach for it then.
Don't
pull it out. Don't pull it out.
Welcome back to another edition of Enough Said. My name's Dan Barrero. I'm joined as always by Justin Guard, and Lori Fisher is in the control room to get us started today. Hi, Lori.
Hi, guys. In the last week, we have seen the extensive case file of the Philando Castile shooting, where now former police officer Geronimo Yanez killed Castile last July. That evidence includes dash cam video, photos from the scene, and audio from that night. Dan?
Well, this video that we just saw a piece of, to me, is testament to the fact that just because something doesn't have blood in it, it can still be incredibly gut-wrenching,
jarring,
and beyond jarring.
Yeah.
I still have I've seen it exactly once, and I've had a difficult time even going back and looking at it again. And you know, we're all in a position here where we're trying to digest this and figure it out post verdict as well, and we're getting even more information than we had before. And the jury may not, in terms of knowing, even on the basis of that video, what took place within that car, what Castillo was reaching for, it doesn't show that conclusively. I continue to believe from the beginning of this case, but especially now, that more than anything else, though, we have a case of a police officer who did not de-escalate a situation and who freaked out. And who had and I've heard this from law enforcement long before this case, do not give conflicting commands. And if they are conflicting on the basis of new information you get, fix it. Do something about it. And so to that extent, I think whether it rises to the level where he can found guilty by a jury,
yeah,
I still believe more than anything else, that's what happened in this case. A police officer freaked out, didn't know how to handle a situation, and we end with a person who should not be dead being dead.
Once was enough for me to watch the video as well. I grappled with even watching it one time because you know how it's going to end,
right.
But just because we have to comment on it, I felt like we should watch it at least once, and that was plenty. You certainly have to try to see this on all sides. You know, we've heard from people in law enforcement.
And we do.
And because you know, he's going up there, and every officer, probably in the state of Minnesota, and every officer nationwide is thinking about Scott Patrick, for example, the Mendota Heights officer who was just shot out of a window on basically what he thought was a routine spot. So you have to understand they're making split-second decisions, that life or death decisions in a very short matter of time. My initial reaction to seeing the video was this guy was not prepared for this situation. And I think that was confirmed by some of the evidence that we've also read where de-escalation training is kind of new. It seems like it's a new thing in a lot of police departments, but whether it was using excessive force, which he was trained for dozens of hours, or discharging a firearm dozens of hours, I think his de-escalation training was like 2 hours.
That's what the report is.
That's what the report is. And so that was what was confirmed to me is when I watched the video, I said, it took 7 seconds for him to escalate it that way for no reason whatsoever. He was not prepared for that situation.
And we also, you know, and then we talked about this before, that his interview with the BCA ended up not being part of the case because the prosecution chose to, or waited to put it into evidence much later at a point where the judge said no. And he was Yanez was a lot less specific about what he thought he saw in that interview than he became on the stand. And, you know, again, none of us are sitting here cavalierly looking at this as, oh, it's so easy to Monday morning quarterback. We get that. And there are many cases where I come to the conclusion that the public reaction is too emotional, too forced, and that there is another significant side to this case, to these cases. But you have to take them as they come. And I still come away, we've got to, the idea that a person in the car intended to use a gun and first made sure that the cop knew that you had it in order to...
Doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up. That if you're going to use your gun, then are you going to let the police officer
give him the
know
playbook?
That you have it? It just,
no.
It's all counterintuitive. It makes no sense.
And 7 shots at that point,
right?
Also made no
sense.
sense.
Have to wrap it there.
Yeah, 7 shots. But I hear from law enforcement, they say once you start shooting, you're trained to just
eliminate the threat. I
Threat.
understand, but you pick and choose when your training kicks in.
How fast did it all went?
7 seconds.
Stunning.
Enough said. Next topic. Twin Cities Pride had decided to exclude police officers from its annual parade, saying it was out of respect for the community feeling pain from the Castile shooting. But after a lot of backlash, Pride reversed its decision. Justin.
I agree with the chief on this one. I don't understand how keeping the police out of the parade helps the situation at all. And
except for the police we want to have there just to keep things safe, which is beyond.
And even a year ago, if you want to rewind a year ago, this was right after the Orlando nightclub shooting where everybody was on edge and everybody was on guard. And what happened? The police responded and said, we're going to put more people at the parade. And the ultimate irony of the whole thing for me is, do you know how Pride parades started? Do you know the history of Pride parades and Pride events? It had to do with the police basically breaking into a gay nightclub in the 1960s, raiding the place, and that was seen as one of the biggest parts of the movement in terms of getting equal rights and all of that. So people that know the history of that, which I didn't until a couple of days ago, people that know the history of that probably appreciate the fact that police historically have been a part of this event.
I'll bring it home to you. I got a letter, an email yesterday when we were talking about this on the radio, and I didn't talk about it on the radio, from a man who identified himself as a 57-year-old gay male. And he said, in fact, he went to the parade a year ago, post-Orlando. He said he found himself relieved that there was extra police presence. And in fact, he noticed extra police presence in some of the bars as well and felt better about that. And he said, how disingenuous is this to a year later say, oh, by the way, we don't want you.
Thanks for the help.
The vehicle in front better be unmarked. It absolutely sends the wrong message. It's a message of, again, it's okay to generalize, except when it's not okay to generalize. And so to put cops who are there, want to be in the parade to be a part and to raise that flag in a position where, in effect, they were told, don't come. We don't want you there. Bad decision. I guess I'm impressed, but not that impressed that they turned around, because it was a very bad call.
And let's all communicate on the front end with anything. It's another situation where a little communication on the front end might have been beneficial generally in this situation.
Next up, before the end of this block, let's talk about Megyn Kelly's controversy and her going ahead with airing an interview with the host of InfoWars. There was criticism of Kelly doing the show with conspiracy theorist Alex Jones because of past remarks he's made about several deadly events, including the Sandy Hook shooting. He called that 2012 tragedy a hoax. Dan?
This is
good picture of the guy there.
Yeah, very flattering.
I like that. We found him at a great moment.
Yeah. This frightens me as much as anything we've heard in the last several months, because people didn't even have the decency to wait for the story to air to see how Kelly handled it. And by the way, if you saw it, she destroyed him. She disemboweled him. She revealed him in a way that once upon a time in journalism, we applauded that. And the notion that, well, you're giving him too big of a forum, he's got a huge forum. The President of the United States listens to him, for God's sake. And so I had media people who were telling me, no, don't. You don't want to give him that. This is embarrassing. And on Father's Day to put this on, we have, look, if we decide that just on the basis of stuff being sensitive and how other people's feelings are going to be hurt, we determine what we publish and what we don't, or what we air and what we don't, we're done. There was nothing wrong with the story. It was well handled. Was it partly for ratings? I'm not stupid. Of course it was. That's not unprecedented in TV. I don't even think here at Fox 9. So I applaud the decision, and I'm sad that a lot of people were delighted that there were no good ratings on it, because to me, a lot of people missed out on this guy, this charlatan, being completely exposed. He was stammering worse than me. He had no comeback really to anything. They set up the story perfectly.
They did.
Her sort of laid-back interview approach was less is more, was brilliant.
And if you watched even the preview, which I think ran during some Stanley Cup broadcasts, they were trying to get everybody. You knew that she was going to try to put him on skates, no pun intended. Speaking of Sandy Hook, because he did try to evade, and she hammered it down on him and said, you're dodging. Answer the question. So even if you just watched that 90-second preview that they ran during a hockey game, you would have understood that this wasn't going to be some fluff piece that was, quote-unquote, one of your favorites, I know, normalizing this guy. Which, what does that even mean now in 2017, where everybody has a forum? You can be, whether you're mainstream or not, you're in the continuum. Whether you're a blogger, just on social media, a podcast, or whatever, you're already kind of normalized just because everything's normalized.
Well, it's related to even the first story. We want people who we disagree with or have grievances with to go away.
Forever.
We want them in a corner somewhere where we don't have to see them, which makes no sense. Nothing gets accomplished. And that's not the way the real world should work.
And you know what happened on Monday? There was just one interview. The sun came up. We all went on with the rest of our lives, and Megyn Kelly's moving on to something else.
Coming up next on Enough Said.
I think it's even more amazing that the Wolves were able to get the Bulls to go with the deal because
Welcome back to Enough Said. The Timberwolves get a mega trade on the night of the NBA draft, getting three-time All-Star Jimmy Butler. The 27-year-old forward is from Texas. He's played 6 seasons in the NBA, all with the Bulls. By the looks of social media, everyone seems to love him. Are the Timberwolves a real threat now, Dan?
Well, it depends on how you define threat. Are the Golden State Warriors
shaking,
leaving their vacation strongholds and returning to work out in Oakland? I doubt we're
Probably
at that
not.
point. But it is it's the story of the draft. It's a mega deal, and I got to tell you, I didn't think they could pull it off without Wiggins being involved. And my reason, if you go back to last year, we offered the number 5 pick and Levine, and allegedly the Bulls said no. They were close, and in the end, the Bulls backed off. And a year later, in effect, I think it's even more amazing that the Wolves were able to get the Bulls to go with the deal because the number 5 pick has not been
been great.
Dunn has not been great. In
what
fact,
we thought he would be.
He's disappointing. He doesn't. I'm not sure he's ever going to run the point. And Levine, who I love and who you love,
Me too. Yep.
is coming off an ACL. And in this day and age, that's not a death sentence. But if your game is as athletic and explosive as his is, it can sometimes affect that. So I just assumed no way the Bulls are going to go for that unless they get maybe 3 months body of work during the season. I think it's a great trade. I think it's a stunning deal when you factor that in. And the fact that the Wolves even got a first-round pick, I think it's a major win, and it does put this team at least – they're in the playoffs for sure.
You would think.
And they're on the map. And I like adding, as you know, even though you don't have the young core together, a veteran guy who is really, I think, now just coming into his prime.
You know that I really didn't want this deal to happen at
didn't.
all. I was, let's just let the young core develop. I'm won over, of course, because I'm easy to win over.
Yeah.
The fact that they didn't have to give up Wiggins is a huge win. They gave up an injured player who I definitely loved. They gave up Dunn, and then they were able to keep a pick. It also, let's take the Chicago angle of this. You mentioned what we offered them a year ago and what we think was offered by some other teams, including Boston. Maybe that was a smokescreen. Who knows? They were clearly ready to deal this guy, or they're clearly ready to go in a different direction, Chicago.
Yes.
They tried to keep it together with Rondo and D-Wade last year and maybe make one last run at it. And who knows, if Rondo doesn't get injured in the playoffs, maybe they beat the Celtics and they never want to make this deal. They feel like they're actually closer than they are. It's fantastic. It's great. And now I do like his ethic. I do like his professionalism. And the head coach loves him. And you brought the head coach in to do a job. So I'm on board with it.
He can deliver the coach's message in a way better within the locker room. And you know what else he is? He is a recruiting tool. He will help them bring other players here, which has been a challenge and an issue.
My message is
where it
enough
hasn't
said.
happened. You're such a baseball fan.
She's like Tibbs.
Yeah.
You know we have to talk about the Twins,
Well, she's
right?
a season ticket holder now. Yeah, let's hear about it.
Yeah, the Twins.
Tell us what's going on.
We got our lightsaber taken away when we tried to get into the game on Wednesday, but I found it in
security's
the
very
manual.
tight. Security's very
Star
tight
Wars
at Target
night.
Field.
You say some of the pitchers are hot, but after that, we're not very good. Would you go to Puerto Rico to see them next year?
Yeah, they're playing a couple of games in Puerto Rico. Did you
That's
hear that?
kind of nice.
Yeah,
They're playing
I
Cleveland.
might.
Why not mix it
I'm
up?
gonna take the
Yeah,
family.
Lori, she's going to get to now that she's a season ticket holder and a big donor of the program, which I
better
didn't know you could.
Better to get swept in Puerto Rico than at home.
The scenery's
I would say.
nicer.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be a little bit
The scenery's
better.
nicer.
So, yeah, I mean, look, we know the bit. I mean, we got 2 pitchers.
And that's it.
And that's all we got. And now we're literally, and maybe this is good. I mean, they just keep throwing options out there. What scares me a little bit is most of the options are guys who've been utter failures elsewhere. So I'm hoping the new regime knows something.
Yeah.
But so far, I mean, what's a little troubling to me is the message you're sending to a lineup that's been pretty good is that you're putting people out there, I really think, who have no business being on a major league mound. We saw that against Cleveland.
On Thursday.
We saw that
Thursday
when
with
we were going
Turley.
for the sweep against the White Sox. And so, look, as long as they're playing bad teams, they're not going to fall off the end of the table. But the starting pitching, and I still think the bullpen are major issues. It shows you they got a long way.
We don't
to
get
go.
to see the bullpen as often as we'd like, at least recently. Against good teams, if those top two, Santana and Barrios, are not pitching, then they have no chance. We saw that against Cleveland. But then you play a bad team like Chicago, throw your 2 good pitchers, and all of a sudden you've won 2 games. We're trying to come up with some kind of phrase for those 2 pitchers. But now Santiago's getting healthy. He's not awful. And Hughes apparently is getting healthy.
And Santana
wave the white bandana.
The white bandana is the best one
that should be the headline.
That's the way it's gone.
Lori should make that sign the next time she goes to a game, which at this rate is basically any day now.
Can you put up a negative sign like that, and will you be removed, or is that okay?
No, I think you can. I think they're taking any ticket buyers at Target Field, given how the last 5 years have gone. But that's basically it. And now, what do you do though? Do you try to pretend? The big debate now is for the next month. Do you pretend that you actually have something here because the division and the league isn't that great that you can make a run if you get one more pitcher, or do you just say, no, we're going to just chill for a year and wait until next year to try to sign somebody else?
I have no problem making a move, but I want it to be a move that's not
short-term.
Basically short-term. I want a move that's going to help us for 2 or 3 years. Then I'm fine with doing it, and if it keeps you in the race longer this year, then it's a bonus.
Enough said. Ready to move on?
We listened.
Yeah, we tried.
Yeah, let's go.
Great.
Next topic.
Authoritative today.
High school grad parties. They are everywhere right now. There's probably a bunch this weekend. More schools across the country are eliminating the valedictorian system, saying they would move to a ranking system instead. Supporters say it could help motivate kids to take harder classes because otherwise they're competing with each other too much. Critics say it breaks tradition. Dan?
Well, here's the deal. I have generally been against this whole concept because the feeling I've had is that the real reason that schools are pushing it is
hurt feelings.
Once again, we're worried about hurt feelings of kids who at some point need to find out about the real world, but we keep putting that off. And then we're surprised when they curl up in the fetal position.
As adults, they can't handle it.
And they want to live with their parents till they're 52 years old. Okay? So that's the part I don't like. But I will admit, if for some administrators it's a little bit like the Golden Gophers in football and basketball having a really soft non-conference schedule, and still being ranked high, and people say, well, wait a minute, they shouldn't be ranked that high.
Who have they played?
Who have they played compared to some of these other schools? Then, okay, I mean, in my day and age, there weren't a lot of those sort of prep classes. Now,
they're everywhere.
It's ridiculous how many there are. And so if it in some way encourages that, I might listen to some kind of formula. We need some kind of valedictorian analytics, I guess, some sort of weighted system that we need to go to, like analytics.
But I thought we already had that. And when I was in high school, AP classes were all the rage. Not where it is now, but I thought they were already weighted. Like if you look at a high school transcript now, you can have like a 4.7 on a 4.0 scale.
That's the weighting then.
I thought we already had this. That's why I don't buy the, well, it'll open up opportunities for people to take difficult classes. I know that's why they're saying it, but that's why I don't buy it. Because in a lot of schools, that's already happened.
That. Well, they got to do that.
Where you can go over a 4.0, which made no sense to me, and I had no chance of ever doing that.
So all it is they're disguising the real reason, which is they're worried about hurt feelings.
Because there are weighted GPAs now. So I think you've already accounted for those classes being taken.
How long did it take you to recover from not being valedictorian in Edina High School?
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because it didn't sneak up on me that I wasn't going to be.
You sort of saw it coming?
I saw it coming, and that's where I don't like this. Well, we don't want them to feel bad when they see their class rank. It's the same reason where if your youth team gets beat 15-0, they probably saw that coming. That didn't sneak up on them that team's better than us. We need to go practice. Same as I know, well, if I go to Burger King every first period my senior year, I'm probably not going to be valedictorian or have the honors. It didn't sneak up on me. And I was okay with that.
Yeah, you live
I had other skills, I think.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, I think most people there are other ways in which you can, quote unquote, succeed.
Yes.
And maybe there's ways you can also give them trophies and commemorative prints, and so everybody's got them. But I think everybody understands that you can have both, and there will be some.
Time for the Lightning Round. The Wild get to keep all their defensemen in the NHL expansion. Plus, the team unveiled new jerseys for the upcoming season. The jerseys have a vintage feel and are said to be lighter, cooler, and stronger. Justin.
They're moving to Reebok, too, I think, is what they're doing. I like the jerseys.
Adidas.
Usually I'm kind of, moving from Reebok to Adidas. Usually I'm kind of bored with jerseys generally. But I kind of like this one. And it's going to look great because on all these defensemen. And the new forward that we're going to get when we trade one of the defensemen.
Give me, rather than a new uniform, give me another scoring option that actually gives us a chance to advance in the playoffs. That's just me, though. It's fine.
Yeah, well, it's a uniform. And then we got the new schedule out and
We're also easily bought off.
Well, of course. Yeah. But the other uniforms in the NHL do not look as good as
our
of
course
new one.
not. Yeah,
I think ours is the best one.
No doubt.
Next up, your group, iHeartRadio, broadcasting Gophers men and women basketball games and men's hockey. Dan.
Well, I've said this for a while. It's not too soon. to put up a statue in Dinkytown, Richard Pitino.
Yep.
I'm on board there.
For
Suddenly,
sure.
just started within
And
the
you're
last
rowing the
couple of
boat.
days.
Speaking of being
and
bought
row
off,
the boat, honestly.
That's how you live your life.
I would like PJ Fleck on this show. That's how convinced I am.
Stay tuned.
That we will be in the Rose Bowl. Will take 3 years. Is that too long?
Why so long?
2?
Yeah, let's not wait. No, it's exciting.
Well,
We're
it is-
excited. In all seriousness, we're excited to have all of them.
I mean, the basketball, there's promise, although there's also now expectation for Richard Pitino. Let's see if he handles it.
It's a better place to live.
Can he handle it?
We'll
That's
find
the
out.
question.
Enough said.
Fleck already has Jimmy Butler rowing the boat too, which is exciting.
I saw that. You
Of course
see
he
PJ?
does. He's
Yeah.
always got to
He never misses an opportunity. That's what I love about him.
That's
Justin,
great.
you're a U of M grad. The school will raise tuition at its Twin Cities campus this fall 2% for Minnesota residents and 12.5% for non-residents.
Well, that's the biggest issue is, Richard Pitino and PJ Fleck have got to go out and find all these kids out of state. Now those scholarships are going to cost a lot more money. We're going to need more donations, but it's what everybody's doing, right? Tuition continues to climb.
Well, how else are we going to pay for all the lawsuits, and not to mention
The lawyer
finding out
fees?
who the leaker was?
Yeah.
We got to
it's
find
true.
that. That's costing us money. Lawyers are doing that. You think that's for free?
No, it's not. We learned this.
We
week just
gotta
how
raise the rates
expensive
to
that
pay
was.
for all that stuff.
Okay, question
all
for
the
you guys.
Dinkytown drama scandals.
Do your first years at community college and transfer in. That should be the new plan.
Wow.
In all honesty.
Well, if you can't afford college, you probably can't afford a vacation either. A new survey by financial planning company LearnVest says 74% of Americans have gone into debt to get away. We're talking around $1,100. I guess you need to plan ahead. Dan.
Yeah, you got to plan ahead, and some people are really good at online stuff about finding the bargains.
Yes.
I'm always worried that it ends up being some kind of a scam.
Yes,
And you're
the
going to get
bargains,
there, and
I
they go,
know.
we don't know who you are.
It's true.
Is it expensive to go to Wisconsin? How expensive is it to go to the Dell?
Lori, it's expensive, right?
Is
She
it
was just there within the last couple of weeks.
$1,000 for 4 days if you cook your own meals.
If you cook your own meals.
your own meal.
But you were smart to go to Lori because if anybody knows vacation, it's the Enough Said staff.
There's no doubt about
Besides the two of us, every week
Yeah.
somebody's
Yeah,
on
our
vacation.
producer.
We just learn who's going to be on the
Fridays.
show
We're on
besides
every
us.
week
So
for like years at a time.
they're the
Megan.
74%.
Okay, so I have to interrupt you for our weekly George Clooney segment. I feel like we
course.
need like a
Surprised you
buzzer.
waited this long.
Things are just like pretty good for him. He just had twins, and now he and his buddies sold their tequila company for $1 billion, and they're still going to have a role in it. It was called Cos Amigos. Justin.
Which they just decided to start like on a lark, I think, one night, just drunk on tequila. Clooney says, you know what, why don't we start a tequila company? They did. They sell it for $1 billion. You feel good, though, because it's about time a guy like him got a break, right? I mean, all the adversity he's had to go through.
What does he know?
I don't know. Everything.
It's uncanny.
Everything.
Everything. I mean, he's smooth.
Could be the
He's
next president, too.
Best looking guy ever. He's a good actor. He's in good
Seems like a fun guy to
movies.
hang
He
out
seems
with.
it's
Last up, we got to just
unbelievable.
get to this. The Minnesota State Fair announced new foods this summer, deep fried avocado, several flavors of cookie dough, but it seems like everything is bacon. So do you guys like bacon? Are you going to go around when Enough Said is live at the State Fair and go get different bacon on a stick stuff?
I would hope they bring it to us when we're live
Well,
at the
there you
State
go.
Fair. That would be ideal.
I'm very particular about bacon.
Is that
It's
right?
got to be very well done,
Crispy?
very crisp. If it's soft, I have no interest.
You don't like a soft
I don't
bacon?
like soft bacon.
No, it's got to be crispy bacon.
Well, yeah, I
you
mean,
need a good firm bacon. That's what you're looking
I
for.
mean, they argue
Fried
about
avocado?
that, yeah.
Fried avocado sounds fantastic.
I just love-
You're taking the health benefits of it and just ruining it. It's
I just
terrific.
love how arrogant they are about what
What can get in and what
sandwiches
can't.
will get in because they're the higher standards they're holding everything.
Be careful.